Hey, it's Times Square 11 with another Lego Mech from thrown together Bionicle parts that I'm trying to use up. So this one is so big that it doesn't quite fit on screen all at once. So this is a Seidr, I think that's how to pronounce it, from Xenoblade Chronicles X. More specifically, this is based off of Ahama's Seidr, which is the only blue one in the entire game, at least that I could find. The wiki, I assume, is pretty complete on listings like that, so probably the only blue one, except for some generics. I think there's generic blue ones that come out of one of the Zern Tyrants, but anyway, so since that one is a Night Cage Seidr, I just incorporated a few aspects of the Night Cage on this, and then made it into a railgun version instead, because that was a lot easier to do, and I had pieces that fit better for that. Would have been extremely difficult to make a night cage around the whole thing. So this is going to be somewhat difficult to show because of how big it is. Also, here it is compared to a minifigure. And I don't have it here for a size comparison, but the custom scale that I made is somewhere around up to here on it. I could have actually made it go a little bigger to make it size accurate, but I mean, this thing was already so big that stability was really tough, just making it stand up straight. So it would have been difficult to make it even bigger than this. So I believe that of the generic enemy classes, Seidrs are the largest mechs in Xenoblade X. So the legs are not as accurate as they could be. If they were completely accurate, this whole section wouldn't be here at all, but I had to add that for stability because otherwise the legs would just flop. They wouldn't stand up straight at all. So I added beams in here to keep it up. The arms were fairly easy. Keeping them straight wasn't hard at all, but just putting this thing on here keeps it from moving too much. So this is a custom bit I added on here, not accurate to the game, but I want to fill this thing up with as many weapons as possible. So I added these, I guess, shoulder guns. One of my favorite things about the Seidrs is that they're really long arms with claws on them. They're very monstrous looking mechs instead of more humanoid looking like the... Well, I mean, all the gangly mechs have that monstrous look to them in some way. Like the Kumovas are kind of insect-like because I believe they were developed by the Orphe. Seidrs are just big claw things. And then Galders, I guess they're kind of bird-like. Also, I had this thing left over from some Ninjago set. It was just lying around. I don't know where it was originally supposed to be part of. So I just threw that onto there too. As mentioned earlier, one aspect of the Night Cage weapon that I kept on here. For some reason, the Night Cage, when it drops, is an electric weapon, but it's, I think, either a beam or gravity weapon when used by the enemies themselves. So I went with it being an electric weapon for this. Also added a few little things on here for being kind of electric based with its weaponry. Mainly throwing this in there from, I think that was called Hero Factory. It was like a successor to Bionicle. It only lasted a couple years, so I don't remember anything about it. That's also where I got the head for this. A little slightly hidden thing I have here is on the side armor. I've got missiles inside so they can turn up like this and fire the missiles out. That's also an original idea added to this to increase its weaponry. These are also original weaponry added. Took a lot more creative liberties with the head area because I couldn't figure out how to get the armor around it so that it wasn't just empty inside, because of the way this is built structurally. It would have been empty looking if I didn't put these there. And because of putting those there, then I wasn't able to make the proper shaped head that has the horns on it, the horns along the sides of it. I also don't know how I could have attached that to the head in the first place, so I just went with leaving it off. And then put these electric cannons up here for more weapons. Then main weapons on this thing, the railguns, the beam railguns. I didn't do too much to make these accurate. I just kind of threw on whatever I had available, because that was basically the idea of making these gangling mechs in the first place, is just use up all these pieces I had lying around to make something as big and threatening as possible. So they do move. Where I set them up here, they can move up front to fire. This armor gets in the way a bit though, so they can't move. If you removed this, then they could move up all the way. And armor broke off. So that's about as far up front as they can go. The back, I had to do some weird things in the back to make it stable. The legs are double jointed onto the body. You have the stability joints up here that are connected on this so they can't move too much. And then the main joints inside the leg. And this is the backpack hover unit that they have on. I didn't really try to make that too accurate either. And this piece of front armor does not stay on well. It's very loosely connected. So I believe that's everything part of this Seidr Mech. I've also got an updated version, another updated version of my custom Skell that I'll have, I don't know when exactly. I've updated a bunch of things on it. I'm just waiting until I finish remaking the drones on it, and then I'll do another update video on that one. I fixed the feet stability issue that I was having, mentioned last time when I made version 4.0 of it. So now I've got a Cumova, a Galder, and a Seidr. So the three main ganglion mech types. So maybe I'll show them all together in a collection video at one point. And if there's any characters that you want to see as a minifigure, or like a Pokemon that you want to see made, then you can see commission info linked in the description. On Twitter, where the link goes to, I also do polls for stuff sometimes, like asking which character of a set of options to make. So if you want to vote in those, then check out the Twitter for commissions and polls and whatever. And also, of course, seeing LEGO projects posted before the videos come out, just seeing photos of them, which is usually the photos I use for thumbnails now. So, see you next time!